morning. Happy Monday, May Day, the first day of May. So what happened on this day in history? Well, in 1882, Robert Koch discovered tuberculosis. In 1931 on May Day, the Empire State Building officially opened, and for the next 4 decades, it was the tallest building in the world, and of course, it's a landmark on Manhattan Island in New York. And finally, on this day in 1958, the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, entered the military and served 2 years. Anyway, let's get to today's topic. Hey, so last week my wife and I, we went to visit our daughter. And we were coming home in the 8 to 10 o'clock range, and we're coming up on I-65 and 294. And there were many times when I was being tailgated so incredibly close that I didn't even know somebody was behind me. Bzz, bzz, they were buzzing by, and in many instances they were passing highway patrol officers. So today I want to talk about automobile liability insurance. You need to have as much liability insurance as you can possibly afford. And you know what? It really isn't that expensive. In many cases, if you have like a $500 deductible, you run it up to a $1,000 deductible, you've covered the cost of maximizing the liability insurance you can get. Well, Mark, what if I have an accident? You know what? In the whole grand scheme of things, if you have a $1,000 deductible on your automobile insurance, who cares? But if you're being sued for something that goes wrong, everybody tells me I never have enough insurance. So what is liability insurance? Well, let's take a look at the first one over here, bodily injury. Bodily injury is what pays out when you cause somebody injury or harm. And the first figure is per person. When there's a slash, it's per accident. Or you may have a policy that says CSL, combined single limit, which covers everything up to that dollar amount. The most you can get is 500, 500, or a 500 CSL. The next thing is property damage. Property damage is when you cause somebody else's property to be damaged and it needs to be replaced or repaired. Most people now are running around with $50,000 to $100,000 of property damage. $100,000 is really the very minimum you should have. I've seen a little Nissan Sentra take out a huge pickup truck. Many, many vehicles today, if you're looking at standard vehicles like a Toyota Highlander, something like that, costs well over $50,000 brand new. And then you can get into luxury vehicles, which are easily in the $50,000 to $100,000 range and well over $100,000. So $100,000 is the very, very minimum you would want. But if you can get more than that, go for it. Oh, well, what happens if I cause a chain reaction? Yeah, I actually saw a chain reaction when I first got into the insurance business. Nice, responsible driver just slipped on the ice. 6 cars later, $80,000 later, because it all goes back to the person who caused it. And that was in like 1984. And I did look up, what would the value of $80,000 in 1984 be worth about 40 years later? It's coming in right in around $250,000. Whoa! There's another part of your insurance policy called uninsured or underinsured. Uninsured means the person who injures you does not have insurance. Underinsured means they don't have enough, so that will make up the difference up to the limits you've purchased. Sometimes people tell me, Mark, I don't need to have that much uninsured or underinsured, and I'm going around with the street legal limits. Let's say, for the sake of argument, they have $25,000, $50,000. So you're only worth $25,000? Ooh. And that leads me into, some people have told me, you know what, I'm not going to go after anybody. They didn't do it intentionally. Okay, well, here's the thing about that, is it may not be in your control. If you've been injured by somebody, causes severe bodily damage, bills start running up, do you think your health insurance company, the company that's paying your bills, is not going to go after the party that caused it? And then I've heard some people say, oh, Mark, you're making a lot to do about nothing. Why don't you go work for an insurance company as an underwriter, or better yet, go work for an insurance company as a claims officer and then come back? Now, you won't come back. You'll be beating it to your insurance company to make sure you get the highest limits possible. Remember, if you're being sued, you never have enough liability insurance. So what's going on at the MLD agency? Well, last week we were able to help a gentleman coming off of group policy migrating into his Medicare plans. And then we had an interesting situation where I had to go see a client who has a Medicare supplement and a drug plan that met his specific needs. However, a few months ago, apparently the state of Illinois sent him a letter telling him that he could enroll into a Medicare Advantage plan. And because he didn't respond to it, probably thought it was junk mail, the state of Illinois enrolled him into a Medicare Advantage plan. Pay attention to some of that stuff that you get from the state. I didn't know the state could do that, but it was an interesting thing. Hopefully we were able to get him reversed back onto the plans that he wanted to be on and that he needs to be on. Anyway, you know what? Today is Monday, May Day. It's terrible outside. It feels like late November. So whatever happened to April showers, bring May flowers.